Was Sauron truly killed by Adar in the Rings of Power? It is only a matter of where Sauron is hiding and when he will come out to play in the shadows of the Rings of Power, as everyone from Lindon to the Southlands is aware. Many people naturally believed the main antagonist from the Rings of Power Season 1 was collaborating with the Dark Lord and carrying out Sauron's nefarious plots while he was away. Sixth episode of the Rings of Power almost certainly proves that is not the case. Adar, who has been captured and is being questioned by Galadriel, admits his devotion to Morgoth, but adds that Sauron's treatment of the orcs after the War of Wrath offended him. After all, Adar was the ancestor of the race from the very beginning. Feeling protective over his little bundles of hate, Adar apparently killed Sauron, thus making himself the chief purveyor of Middle-earth misery. Sauron, meanwhile, hasn't been spotted since. If Adar's story is to be believed, fans of The Lord of the Rings will be aware that Sauron theoretically continues to live in some metaphysical form even after the destruction of the One Ring in the Third Age. What is the reality behind Adar's cocky assertion in the Rings of Power Episode 6 in light of this? Viewers of the Rings of Power can at least assume that Adar is telling Galadriel the truth before delving more into the details of his assertion. Adar's claim that he wanted to shield the orcs from Sauron's cruelty is consistent with both the experiment chamber Galadriel discovered in Episode 1 and the promises he has made repeatedly about wanting the Southlands to become an orc haven. So there is no obvious advantage to be gained by lying in this situation. Adar, therefore, seems to honestly believe he killed the Dark Lord. He's most likely off base. One of the heavenly and eternal Mawle, or spirits from before time, is Sauron. The Mawle do not pass away in the conventional sense because they are divine, primordial entities. The Return of the King establishes that Sauron is still alive even after the One Ring is eventually destroyed. Saruman also suffers the same fate, though wizards are a little bit of an exception. Sauron is implied to still exist even after the One Ring is eventually destroyed. Although Mawle can be severely damaged to the point of no return with significant effort, their fundamental nature is still connected to the earth. However, Mawle's corporeal manifestations are not impervious to harm. The likes of Elthine, Gil-galad, and Elendil all enjoyed success in battle against Sauron, but the Dark Lord's spirit survived in each case, renewing its strength, restoring its body, and returning to prominence. Maybe this is what happened between Sauron and Adar in the Rings of Power. Adar might have slain Sauron's physical body, forcing his spirit away until enough power returned to launch a comeback. At worst, Adar's betrayal would have been an unpleasant inconvenience to Sauron. According to the Lord of the Rings, a Mawle can regain corporeal form in one of two ways. One is by the grace of the Valor, as demonstrated by Gandalf's resurrection as Gandalf the White after dying fighting Moria's Balrog. The second approach involves replenishing over time while taking the long way around. Sauron's actual body has vanished, for instance, during the fall of Enmenor. Tolkien describes how the evil character's spirit endures, hides in Middle-earth, and gradually takes on a new form over a period of many years. In the Rings of Power, Sauron defies Adar's blade, so this may well explain it. Because the Valar were unlikely to resurrect him as Sauron the Purple, the Dark Lord was forced to remain hidden until his strength returned and the body Adar may or may not have assassinated was replaced by a new form. Unfortunately, this information doesn't help the Rings of Power explain where Sauron might be. Sauron might return to Middle-earth as a flaming meteor with no memory of his former existence if Adar defeated his physical form and made him spend many millennia healing. Therefore, the hypothesis linking Sauron to the stranger in the Rings of Power is still viable. At the same time, Halbrand's forced exile by Adar sounds uncannily similar to Sauron's imposed exile by Adar. The mythology of J.R.R. Tolkien leaves a significant portion of Sauron's past unresolved. Sauron made the decision to flee and hide when the War of Wrath was over rather than accept the Valar's verdict. He eventually began making moves 500 years into the Second Age, spent another 500 years redecorating Mordor, and eventually triggered his One Ring masterplan by appearing as Anadar yet another half-century later. Compared to the 100 years between Sauron's body being destroyed on Numenor and his subsequent wars against Gondor, it's fair to ask why the Dark Lord took 15 years to make waves after Morgoth's defeat. The real solution, of course, is a mix of assembling forces, formulating strategies, fortifying positions, and gaining control after a humiliating defeat. According to a different interpretation presented in the Rings of Power, Sauron's triumphant homecoming in the Second Age was ruthlessly cut short by the blade of a purported ally. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to comment, subscribe, and give us a like.